I'm going to do one of those cooking challenge videos with a slight difference this time, because we're not in the main kitchen. We've still got the builders in. There's all kinds of limitations about what I can do. We're in the Atomic Shrimp temporary kitchen, which has no oven. So anyway, we're going to do one of these challenge things and see how that works out. Parameters and rules, there won't be many, because as we know, rules make rules lawyers. I'm going to go to the shops. I'm going to buy the cheapish things from these categories: meat, dairy, staple or packet, fruit, green veg, jar, can, frozen. In addition to that, we'll get salt, pepper and water, 1 herb, 1 spice, 1 sauce, 1 tablespoonful of fat or oil if required, and 1 foraged item or 1 item from the garden. Either or. And from this, I've got to make a day's meal. So notionally breakfast, lunch and dinner. One of those meals has to have a starter or dessert. Oh, and I'm not going to try to avoid buying the things I bought last time and maybe the time before. I'm not keeping a list, because who's got time for that? That's the extent of the parameters. Let's go shopping. Right, here comes the haul. Well, most of it. The 1 kilo pack of mixed frozen vegetables is already in the freezer downstairs. That cost £1.20. Slight upgrade from the 99p pack of mixed vegetables, but I suspect that'll be the same mix as we had from Morrison's last time, which was mostly carrot. So I've gone up a bit because I'm hoping we'll get some green beans and some sweet corn and other things in there as well. And the tub of cottage cheese is in the fridge. That was 79p. So in addition to that, we've got this huge pack of spring greens here. Spring greens being just young cabbage. That was 79p. Bananas, and again, I know I got bananas last time, but really the fruit section was pretty dire in Asda. It seems like every time I go to that Asda store, there's just no produce at all. All of it was in the reduced section, but it was all jumbled up and piled up, so I couldn't get to half of it because it was stacked up in crates. Anyway, bananas. Bananas were 67p for these 4 bananas, which is 3/4 kilo. A jar of mild curry sauce. Essentials Asda curry sauce, 45p. A tin of chopped tomatoes, again, essentials range. There was a point when everything in the trolley started to look very yellow. 39p. Pack of cooking bacon, as opposed to bacon for eating raw. £1 for 500 grams. And a kilo of long grain rice for 52p. That's the haul. Tomorrow we've got to make that into 3 meals and 1 starter or dessert. Tomorrow begins today. I'm going to cook a portion of this rice and then chill it down so we've got some rice that's cooked, because cooked chilled rice behaves differently for frying and things. Anyway, so yeah, I'll just cook 1 of these cups of rice. Rice is in there with double its own volume of water. Right, that's done. I'm just going to let that cool down completely, chill it overnight. Okay, breakfast. I'm going to try to make something a bit like kedgeree. I've got the cooked rice. I haven't got any smoked fish, but I've got bacon. Some of that does look like it might be smoked. I haven't got eggs, so we'll give it a go. And this will give me a chance to get to know these ingredients as well, because I haven't seen inside the bag of this mixed vegetables yet. It looks like it might be mostly peas. the first thing I need to do is something that's not really even part of kedgeree, which is going to be fry a banana in butter, because butter is going to be my fat allowance for the day. So the least ripe of my bananas, still a little bit of green there, that's about half a tablespoon of butter. I might use the other bit for something else. Okay, now the butter is foaming. I'm going to fry those cut side down first. Okay, let's see how those are doing. No browning or anything yet, so we'll keep on going. In case you're wondering why I'm in this weird little kitchen, we're having the real kitchen renovated, and it's quite a major project. So we are now at the end of nearly week 3. We still haven't got a kitchen back yet. Hopefully it will be worth it. It needed some major work done. Okay, that's starting to caramelise. Just keep going for another minute. Right, let's flip those over now. Oh yeah, that's good. That's what we want. Yeah. Right, those are going to fall apart if I go any further. So, heat off, and we'll get those out onto a plate. Bacon. Now, I happen to know from past experience that bacon and banana is a good combination. It does actually work. It might not seem like it would, but it does. This is cooking bacon. It's cheap because it's all the weird offcuts and trimmings and bits that don't look aesthetically pleasing, and therefore can't be sold in nice neat packs of bacon. And we'll save the fattier bits for later, and we'll have a bit of a less fatty bit there. Now I'm going to cut this bacon up into smallish pieces. Bacon straight in there. Right, now just fry off this bacon until it goes a bit crispy. While that's happening, let's take a closer look at this vegetable mix. Okay, not bad. Yeah, I'd say that's not a bad mix actually. It's a little bit heavy on the carrots still. I guess carrots are just the cheapest thing. The bacon hasn't taken long to cook. We're nearly ready for the next bit, which is the vegetables. And those are just going to go straight in there. And as these thaw and the moisture comes out of them, that will deglaze the pan and we'll get some of that bacon flavour coating them. Right, this curry sauce, cheap curry sauce, I'm just going to get a little taste of this. You're meant to kind of pour this over fried chicken or something like that and then cook the chicken in it. Let's give it a little taste anyway. Actually, no, that's okay. A bit like a sort of korma, maybe. To this pan where the vegetables and bacon are now cooked, some of my cooked rice from yesterday. It's gone a bit clumpy. Okay, and then some of this curry sauce. Yeah, a little bit more sauce. It's on a low heat now, but I'm just going to let that continue warming through. And then my herb for the day is going to be fresh parsley, of which I'm going to use about maybe half of what I've got here. Might save the other half for later. I'm just going to chop that up. Finally. Chopped parsley, just going to stir that through the rice. It's off the heat now. The rice is a little bit kind of claggy, mainly because I added sauce, but also the rice was a bit moist. Anyway, I think we're ready to serve up. Now, I don't know if these fried bananas are even going to work with this, but I am going to take a gamble. Gosh, they've gone really soft. I think I'll just put a couple of them on there for now. And the cottage cheese, just have a little bit of that on top there. That's breakfast. Let's go and give it a taste. All right, first off, I think just the rice and vegetables. The curry rice and vegetables with bacon. That is nice. That rice is a bit overcooked. I think I overcooked the rice last night when I was preparing it. It was quite late. And it's a little bit kind of soft. Not ideal for a dish like this. It would have been nicer to have loose rice grains, but it tastes okay. Okay, with the cottage cheese, and I think this is going to go fine. A little bit of acidity and sort of creaminess. Yeah, that's nice. With the fried banana, this is the risky bit. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I think of that, actually. It does work. Banana and bacon works. Banana and curry works. Okay, everything together. So when you have the cottage cheese and the banana together with the rice, it makes it a little bit too puddingy, a little bit dessert flavoured. A bit sweet and dessert-like. Not bad. The whole combination was a bit weird. Interestingly, smoked bacon plus parsley plus the acidity of cottage cheese does start to taste a little bit like smoked fish. Anyway, that was breakfast. Nice hearty breakfast. That's filled me right up, and that'll give me some energy for editing the video you're now watching. This is not a dessert. This is just an afterthought. I've got those other 2 bits of banana that I've fried, and I just want to taste them on their own with cottage cheese without the context of the curry and stuff. That's actually a really nice combo. So that gives me some ideas for dessert. And I've got an idea that's a little bit out there. Black pepper. I just want to see. I just want to know if that works. I don't know. It's not nice. I'm not sure it's necessary. Lunch is going to be based around these spring greens. I'm going to make some stuffed cabbage rolls. But first, and if I'd thought this through properly, I'd have done this in one go, because I need some more bacon. And yeah, if I'd had my head screwed on properly, I would have done this all in one shot. Cooked this all off and just reserved some cooked bacon because I need it cooked. I'm going to put the fattier bits of bacon in here. So yeah, if I thought this through properly, I would have done this all at breakfast time. Okay, so I'll get the heat going into the pan. I'll use the cast iron pan this time, I think. All of that bacon in there for now. So while that's happening, I've got another job to do over there. To laboriously pick out some peas and sweet corn. Out of here. I only want the peas for this process, but since I'm picking through and separating, I want the corn later. So I'm going to pick out peas into one, sweet corn into another. And this fiddly process has turned out to be a bit wasteful because it's almost impossible to do this without dropping some on the floor. I suppose spreading it out on the tray and just pushing it to one side or another would be the thing. Obviously you can buy all of these things in non-mixed state, so you know that would be the sensible way to do it. But these videos are not about how we do the sensible things. They're about how we do the whatever we can things. Right, that's enough corn. I only need a little bit, and that's probably enough peas. The rest of that can go back in the bag, and then the bag in the freezer. This bacon now being cooked, but obviously not crispy. I'm just going to take it out of the pan for a moment. I do want quite small pieces. That's good. So back in the pan. For my foraged item, sky onions. There's a whole video about this, linked in that card and in the description, if I remember. These are the little aerial bulbils of Allium roseum, rosy flowered garlic. So I just went out this morning, picked a few of these. They're starting to get their papery skins now, but not so as you'd really notice. I'll save a few just in case I need them later. So we'll give those a little rinse. And how much fun is this? Right, sky onions. Now one thing I don't have here is a garlic press in this temporary kitchen. And I need to crush these because in this sky onions video, I mentioned that these taste really mild. Somebody pointed out in the comments that's because I cooked them whole, and they're quite right. Onions and garlic, the pungent flavours develop when you damage the plant. There's an enzyme that kind of produces all the garlicky, oniony stuff. So if you cook it before you damage it, then that enzyme doesn't get to do its job because it's destroyed by heat. So what I actually need to do here is chop these up a little bit first, which is no mean feat because they're like little ball bearings, and then crush them And that will release the magic to create, oh yeah, some garlicky aroma. In with the sky onions. And then heat off before we actually burn anything. And we'll just let that wild garlic sizzle and cook in the residual heat of the pan. Then all of that, well actually all of that minus the fat if I can. Then into this lovely bacon and garlic scented bowl, peas and a bit of my cooked rice. Now I don't have an oven to bake these cabbage rolls. Normally cabbage rolls would be baked in a casserole dish. Don't have an oven to do that with, so I'm going to have to improvise. Right, that's probably enough. No salt required because that bacon's quite salty. So these huge, amazing cabbage leaves, I think I can stuff that if I have just a half of a leaf. So I'll keep the midribs to one side because obviously it's spring greens. It doesn't need as much cooking as other kinds of cabbage. I will keep these midribs because I might do something with those. Right, so these great big leaves, I'll give them a wash first and then blanch them by pouring that whole kettle of boiling water over the top. Just give them a push down so all the bits get a little bit blanched. This is just to soften the leaves and make them a bit more wrappable. And the reason I'm doing it in this big pan is that's the vessel I have. Right, space being somewhat at a premium here. Let's try and get organised for working. So, cabbage leaves. Good helping of that filling. I've got to think about how many I'm stuffing here. That looks about the right amount. And I'm just going to... I don't know what's the right way to wrap these up, so I'm just going to bodge it myself. So it's just a case of roll it up like that. That's fairly neat and tidy. And then into the pan with the kind of folded side down. I actually think that's not a bad job, considering that's the first time I've ever stuffed cabbage leaves. Stuffed cabbage leaves like this are quite popular across Eastern Europe. So that's where the idea came from. I've eaten stuffed cabbage leaves from cans and probably in a restaurant somewhere, but never actually made them myself. So as I say, we don't have an oven, so improvising here, just going to bring that pan up to temperature. I'll put some tomato sauce on there. Tomato sauce in a cast iron pan will dissolve part of the pan. I'll get my iron supplement. Tin of tomatoes. How are you meant to open it? Ah. So now that this pan is hot, most of that tin of tomatoes is going to go over. I will reserve just a little bit because I've got an idea. I think we just have a little bit of water on there as well, just to loosen that up. Because I want the sauce to kind of go down in between and heat up completely. That's good. Right. Don't have a lid for this pan, but that'll do in a pinch. And I'll just save the rest of those tomatoes, put those in the fridge because I have an idea. That's simmering away now, so I'm just going to turn it down because I need the heat to permeate all the way through and just warm those up. Fully cook the cabbage leaves, warm the contents of the cabbage rolls. Cabbage is quite tender now. It's only spring greens, obviously it doesn't take very long to cook. Right, let's get that to the table and give it a taste. Right then. Hot. Need a bit of pepper. Doesn't need any salt. I should probably have let these stand for a few minutes. Okay, so the cabbage is a tiny bit tough. And actually that allium roseum, still actually quite mild after all that. I reckon different cabbage leaves stuffed more generously would probably be the thing. Well, there's probably more than enough here for me really. Despite the cabbage being not the easiest thing to cut, it's not tough to eat. And yeah, bacon, peas, rice and garlic and tomatoes. Why wouldn't that work? Yeah, I might leave a couple there to go cold and try eating those in the manner of dolma. Alright, so midnight snack. These are the cold cabbage rolls. See what they're like. Interestingly, they taste like they're lacking something. Yeah, definitely better warm, I think. So, how about a little dessert? So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cook this bit of sweet corn. I'm putting sweet corn in a dessert. I think I'll do that in that bowl first. I'm just going to put that in the microwave for about probably 10-15 seconds. That corn can go back in there. And then we're going to have some of this cold rice. Now I'm only aiming to fill this little ramekin. So, don't need a lot here. About that much of the cold rice. Cottage cheese. And with this I'm going to have the whey as well as the cheese, as well as the curds. Does that look about right? Let's just stir that together, see what it looks like. I'm going to use my spice allowance, which is going to be nutmeg. So a little grind of fresh nutmeg in there. Actually quite a big grind of fresh nutmeg in there. Okay, there's that. A little bit more cheese, I think. So, a little bit of that in the bottom of the pot. Some of my sweet corn. I don't know whether this is a good idea to include this or not. Yes, just enough there for one little layer. Banana. Now, I might as well have that bit there. It's all squashy. Because it's going to be hidden away anyway. And it'll be sweeter. Okay. More of the cottage cheese and rice. And then... Okay. I'll just arrange those around there. A little banana rosette. And then my other half a tablespoon of butter, well it's actually a bit less than half a tablespoon, but it's what's left. A tiny bit of the curds from the cottage cheese. Right, that needs to go onto the grill. There is a grill on my camp stove. Just going to check. Oh, it's tight. It won't go. So it won't fit. I'm just going to have to press this down a bit. Right, is it going to go? Is it going to go? Just. Okay, slide that to one side for the moment, and then we'll put that there. The butter's melted, so I'm just going to distribute that, make sure it's all over those bananas. Right, well, there it is. It looks ever so slightly caramelised. Now, I'm not expecting the contents of this dish to be hot, but the dish itself might be. Not too bad. So that's my little dessert. Banana parfait-ish type thing, maybe. Let's get that to the table and give it a taste. So I think it looks quite nice. Am I going to regret putting sweet corn in there? Am I going to regret all of this? Actually, do you know what? Before we start, just a little bit more ground nutmeg. Well, so the bananas on top have cooked now. Well, here goes. Bananas and sweet corn. Together at last. It's not bad, considering there's no sugar in here. No refined sugar. It's not bad at all. Actually, it's rather nice. Yeah. So, that amount of time under the grill has kind of brought the contents up to warm. I expected the bottom would still be chilled, but it's not. It's warm. And it works. Now, if I was making this outside of this challenge context, I think a bit of honey in there would be rather nice. Or maybe maple syrup. Or even just golden syrup or brown sugar. But it's not so undersweet that it fails. It actually works all right. That banana was quite ripe, so it's nice and sweet. And yeah, sweet corn in a dessert. It is a fruit after all. It is sweet. Yeah. Yep, as I say, a bit of honey on there would have made all the difference, but that's actually pretty good for one of these challenges. Actually happy with that. Right, dinner. And I've got a whole load of different things left here. Got some cold cooked rice still, quite a lot of bacon, a bit of tomato, some curry, lots of curry sauce, quite a lot of vegetables, and some sky onions, and a ton of rice. I'm going to start by cooking some of these mixed vegetables. I think I might do a starter and a main here. These are the midribs of the cabbage leaves that I saved. Now these can tend to be a bit stringy and sometimes a little bit tough, but these are not going to be tough because I'm going to slice them into quite thin pieces like that. Right, that's on the boil now. So some of those vegetables in there, it's mostly carrots. Some of that's because I picked out the other bits. While that's going on, this other pan is going to receive bacon. And again, I'm picking the pieces that have got some fat on them because I need that for something else in a moment. Vegetables are now on a simmer. I'm going to give them no more than a few minutes. The vegetables are cooked, so I'm just straining off the cooking water because I'm going to keep that. It's got some flavour in it. I'm just going to transfer those into the pan that doesn't have a lid. Now, these bits of spring green are going to get a similar bit of simmering. I want to cook these on their own because I don't know how long that's going to take. And I will use the same water because it's already hot. And again, we're going to save that because it's got some flavour in it. Meanwhile, one of my bananas. Now, if we'd been in the main kitchen, this might have been a job for the recurring character of hand blender, but that's packed away at the moment. So the food processor and the blender are packed away at the moment, so don't have those things. Which is a shame actually, because the food processor would have been ideal for making bacon burgers or bacon meatballs or something like that. But I don't have it to hand. It's packed away because we had to get things clear for the kitchen renovation. Anyway, so just mashed one of those bananas here. And this is going to get combined with that curry sauce. So these cooked vegetables, I'm going to reserve a portion. Just a little bit. And yes, I am putting mashed banana on boiled vegetables. Stay with me. Now some of that curry sauce. So the idea here is that the banana will kind of transform that curry sauce a little bit. Also, the fact that the banana and the sauce are cold has stopped those vegetables from overcooking. I'm just going to have a little taste of that. Actually, that's surprisingly good. Right, that can be set aside now. Bacon is starting to look nice and crispy, but I'm going to take this out and chop it up, put it back in the pan. I just tried a little bit of one of these spring green stalks. That's only taken about 5 minutes, and they are crisp but tender. So again, I'm going to save the water from these because it's now got even more flavour in it. I have got a plan, but just to keep things all sorted and out of the way, those other vegetables are going to go in there. As are my remaining chopped tomatoes. That just goes to the side for a moment because I just need a bit of these spring greens, and for this I am going to steal the middle leaves. Okay, after a little wash, don't think the midribs need anything done with them on there. I'm going to cut these spring greens into very fine shreds. So starting like that. Those are going to go in with the crispy bacon. And then I want some fresh rice. So, half a cup of rice, a whole cup of that cooking water from the vegetables, cabbage and bacon is almost as far as I want to take it. So that can now just go into this bowl and be set aside for a moment. Got some kind of gooey, bacony fond stuck on the pan there. Let's get that off. That's going to be deglazed using some more of this water. And that's going to go into, this is the vegetables with tomatoes, not the curry. So it's going to go in there. Now just over a low heat, I'm going to bring that all up to a simmer. So the last bit of that vegetable water is going to go in there, plus a little bit of this cooked rice from earlier. So maybe just like that much. Now that rice is quite gooey, but the starch will hopefully just thicken this soup a little bit. A little taste for seasoning. It does need a little pinch of salt. And I think it could also benefit from generous grind of pepper. Better. And then that parsley that we had left over from earlier, just chop that up. That can actually go off now. And remember the sky onions. Have a few of those left. So just like 5 or 6 of those crushed, raw. I'll just let them infuse. Now I realise we've been having this with everything. There we go. It's a kind of, yeah, it's not minestrone, it's minestrone not. Let's give it a taste. So yeah, the sour dairy is a kind of Eastern European kind of thing. I think it could have benefited from more of those sky onions. It's a nice soup, nice and fresh vegetable soup. Actually, what I need to do is taste one of these pieces of carrot. Have these still got the weird texture? Yeah, those are not too bad. It's not a bad soup. And it does definitely go okay with cottage cheese. Some hot chilli would go well with that. And I have realised I haven't used my sauce allowance. That's truly a fairly decent vegetable soup. There's one of those sky onions. Oh yeah, when you have it like that, that's nice. Could do with a bit more of those though. That was a tasty soup. But now it's dinner time, so this curry that I set aside earlier is just going to get heated up through, and then we'll plate this all up. And I've decided this bacon and cabbage, rather than being a garnish, is going to get stirred through the rice. Yeah, why not? Do you remember in the 1970s, if you were alive then, how curries were always served as like a little nest? Okay, well there it is. Let's give it a taste. Well, the curry I have already tasted, but not when it was fully hot. Let's give it a try. You can definitely tell there's banana in there. That curry sauce is actually, surprisingly, for being labelled mild, it has got a little bit of chili heat to it. It's not fiery or anything like that, but it is pleasantly, you know, it's got a little bit of warmth and spiciness to it. Oh, now that goes really well. I'm resisting the urge to put the cottage cheese on here because we've just done that with everything. So yeah, the curry sauce already had raisins in it. There's a raisin or sultana or something like that. So the notion of putting fruit in curries is not completely absurd. It is rather sweet. It's almost like a dessert curry. But the saltiness of the bacon in the rice brings it back. I would say not the best dish of the day. It could do with just a lot more spicing in the curry. This was, after all, a very, very cheap jar of curry sauce. So we can't expect that it would have a lot of expensive spices in there. Maybe my sauce allowance should have come into play here. A bit of hot chili sauce on top of this would have just brought it up, lifted it up a bit, but I'm sat down now. So that's the final dish. In a minute, we're just going to go back to Studio Shrimp for scoring the meals, conclusions, and what have we learned? Hello, baby. A little bit of rice. Come on in. Ups. Yeah. Oh, so gentle. A bit. It's on your nose now. There you go. It's on the floor. Come on. Studio shrimp here. I thought that went reasonably well. And that was quite a well-rounded shopping basket for the £5.81 spend. Leftover ingredients at the end of the day comprised 750 grams of rice, about a third of the cottage cheese, 2/3 of the curry sauce, half the cabbage, 1 of the 4 bananas and a quarter of the bacon, and 450 grams of frozen vegetables. The nutrition analysis of the whole basket and the amounts used is on the screen now, for anyone who cares about that sort of thing. Overall, of course, the dishes were all a bit ricey and bacony, but I think that's got to be expected, given that rice and bacon were the primary nutrition sources in the basket. And of course, this isn't a diet or a menu suggestion, so it's not like I'm suggesting anyone actually make all of these dishes all in one day, or at all, actually. I expected to make 4 dishes, but I ended up making 5, or 6, I suppose, if you include the midnight snack. Scoring the meals: breakfast curry rice. This was satisfying enough. The rice was a bit soft and sticky if it was trying to be like kedgeree, but ignoring that comparison, it was tasty. 6 out of 10. It would have been 7 out of 10 with 1 less ingredient, either the bananas or the cottage cheese, not both. Lunch: cabbage rolls, very tasty. If I made these again, I would use a different kind of cabbage, probably Savoy, and maybe fill them a little bit more generously. But there was a lot to like here. 7 out of 10. Dessert: banana in parfait. I'm going to score this one 8 out of 10. It looked good, it worked as a dessert, the sweet corn was fun and would have been a fun surprise if I wasn't already expecting it to be there. And it does work in a dessert. This little dish made me very happy. I think I might take it forward as a candidate for recipe elevation, where I make a version of it without any restrictions on ingredients, so it can be just a tad sweeter. And then dinner: the starter, minestrone not. Just a nice, simple, tasty, mostly vegetable soup. For something that was not really planned until just after I started preparing dinner, this turned out pretty well. I'll give it another 8 out of 10. Confusion curry. Vegetable curry and rice with bacon and shredded fried cabbage. Honestly, this dish was a bit of a mishmash. If I had to list the things I'd eat in or with a curry, bacon would not be very near the top of that list. Maybe I could have made some bacon meatballs, and that might have gone better with a tomato sauce and some pasta. Or the fried shredded cabbage might have gone better with a stir-fry or bibimbap-style rice bowl rather than a curry. So that's why this dish is not so much fusion cooking as confusion cooking. It did taste okay though, so 6 out of 10. Midnight snack: cold cabbage rolls. There just seemed to be something missing when I ate these cold. Couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. Hot sauce maybe? 4 out of 10. What did I learn this time? Well, the big, I suppose, surprise was sweet corn works in a dessert. I mean, obvious in hindsight, I suppose, when you consider all the sweet and sweetish dishes that include corn in other forms. In fact, as I'm writing this, I'm thinking there are probably dessert dishes out there already that include sweet corn kernels in conspicuous whole form. I can't think of one, but if you know of such a thing, let me know in the comments. Cheap curry sauce appears to be a better buy than the cheap tomato pasta sauce that we had in a recent episode. I suppose because when you cut back on spices, you get a mild sauce, whereas when you cut back on tomatoes, you probably just get an insipid sauce. It was worth spending that extra 21 pence on frozen vegetables. Indeed, this is something that often seems to be true in many different contexts, that the second cheapest option is disproportionately better than the absolute cheapest one. A big step up in quality for a comparatively small step up in price. This one isn't a new lesson, but worth a try is worth a try. Experience has given me a reasonably good feeling for combining flavours, but sometimes the only way to be really sure is just to give it a try. Fried bananas with curried rice was maybe a bit of a weird long shot, but it worked. And it worked better without the cottage cheese than with. I don't think I could have predicted that with absolute precision, so it was worth trying it out. Advanced preparation is prudent. I found myself frying pieces of bacon on 3 separate occasions during the day. That could have been avoided with a little more forward planning, although it is like this because I'm, to a certain extent, thinking on my feet as I go along. And finally, presentation matters. The cabbage rolls looked good in the pan, and that made me a little bit happy. The banana rosette on top of the dessert did contribute in some small way to the pleasure of eating, and indeed preparation. It made me happy, and happiness is important. So, I hope this has been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.